Prison security is tight, unless you're hiding a cell phone in a Bible or a roast chicken. 1. The Pigeon Drug Cartel. Before drones, prisoners had pigeons. Yes, real, cooing, flying felons with backpacks. In Brazil, guards caught an actual homing pigeon fluttering into the prison yard with a small package of cocaine tied to its legs. The bird had apparently been trained by inmates for smuggling runs, a low-tech but shockingly effective delivery service. Imagine the planning meeting. Okay, you handle the drugs, I'll handle the breadcrumbs. It wasn't even the first incident. Authorities discovered entire networks of birds working as feathery mules. One even wore a tiny jacket sewn from nylon to hold contraband. It's like Breaking Bad, Animal Planet edition. Somewhere there's a pigeon bragging that he did hard time for trafficking and still came out on top. 2. The Burrito Cell Phone Special. At a Texas prison, guards found a suspiciously heavy burrito during a routine search. Inside wasn't steak, rice, or beans, it was an entire cell phone, wrapped neatly in tortilla and foil like some kind of illegal tech fajita. Someone on the outside figured this was a brilliant disguise, because apparently guards would never question a perfectly cylindrical meal that weighs 3 pounds. The best part? The inmate who ordered it tried to play dumb, saying it was extra meat. I mean, technically he wasn't wrong, just the electronic kind. That's how we got a new culinary genre, Tex-Mex telecommunications. Somewhere in a parallel universe, Chipotle's secret menu includes the prisoner's combo. 1 burrito, no freedom, unlimited minutes. 3. The Hollow Bible Redemption Plan. When smugglers want to get poetic, they use the Word of God. A Florida inmate received what appeared to be a care package from a loving friend, a well-worn Bible with heartfelt notes in the margins. Inside, however, officers found neatly carved pages, forming a perfect rectangle, stuffed with weed, a lighter, and rolling papers. It was less Book of Psalms and more Book of Smoking. The creativity was impressive, though. The criminal actually resealed the pages and even underlined verses about redemption, possibly for irony. When questioned, the inmate swore it was a religious experience. Maybe it was, because when your salvation literally comes rolled up inside the Holy Word, you've officially reached divine levels of stupid genius. 4. The Potato Vodka Pipeline. Inmates in a Polish prison once ran what can only be described as the world's saddest microbrewery. Using stolen potatoes from the kitchen, sugar packets from the cafeteria, and sheer desperation, they created a smuggling operation for homemade vodka, hidden inside IV bags meant for the prison infirmary. Nurses would accidentally deliver the bags to the wrong cells, and prisoners would toast their freedom with something that could double as industrial cleaner. The whole system ran for months before a guard noticed that the medical ward suddenly had a much higher patient satisfaction rate. When they finally busted the ring, the warden said, "It smelled like a potato farm exploded." Imagine getting alcohol poisoning from intravenous vodka you brewed under your bed. That's not just illegal. It's agricultural innovation mixed with bad life choices. 5. The Raccoon Mule Incident. Leave it to Oklahoma to turn wildlife into accessories to crime. Guards at a correctional facility once noticed an unusually fat raccoon waddling near the fence line at night. When they captured it, they found a tiny pouch strapped to its back, filled with tobacco, rolling papers, and a flash drive. It was an honest-to-God raccoon smuggler. Turns out an accomplice on the outside had been feeding and training the creature to run contraband through a hole in the fence. The guards called it Operation Trash Panda. Somewhere, a man looked at his parole hearing and thought, "Yeah, I'll just outsource this to a raccoon." It's genius in a "please don't ever try that again" kind of way. The raccoon was released back into the wild, presumably to start his own organized crime family in the woods. 6. The Fried Chicken Phone Delivery. In a South Carolina prison, a guard intercepted what looked like a normal fried chicken dinner. Golden, crispy, extra greasy. But beneath the crunchy exterior was something a bit more technological. Someone had surgically stuffed an entire burner phone into the chicken's cavity, wrapped in plastic, and breaded over to hide the bulge. That's right, someone deep-fried a smartphone. When officers cut it open, the grease short-circuited the device, but points for creativity. Imagine explaining that to AppleCare. "Yeah, I dropped it in oil at 350 degrees. Even more ridiculous, the inmate still tried to claim it was his lunch. Nothing says commitment like risking third-degree burns for a chance to check Instagram. The story went viral, mainly because it proved that when people say anything is possible, they're probably talking about crimes involving poultry. 7. The prosthetic leg caper. One inmate in a UK prison had a prosthetic leg, and apparently a lot of free time. During a surprise search, guards discovered that he'd hollowed out the artificial limb and was using it as a smuggling compartment. Inside, a stash of SIM cards, cigarettes, and small packets of heroin, all neatly packed like it was a mobile convenience store. The man had been limping slightly heavier for weeks, but nobody suspected anything because, well, it was his leg. When questioned, he shrugged and said, "I was just trying to get back on my feet." Honestly, that line alone deserves parole for comedic timing. The ingenuity is almost admirable. It's the ultimate example of how necessity and a lack of Netflix truly breeds invention. If you ever feel unproductive, remember, someone literally turned their prosthetic limb into a one-man supply chain. 8. The dead rat delivery system. Some prisons have mailrooms, others have rat routes. At a British facility, guards kept finding dead rats in the exercise yard. At first, they assumed it was pest control doing a great job, until one rat accidentally hit the ground and split open like a beanbag. Inside, heroin, tobacco, and tiny SIM cards, all wrapped neatly in plastic. The smugglers had been tossing drug-stuffed rats over the wall like they were running a carnival game for felons. Inmates would collect them during yard time, stash the goods, and toss the carcasses in the trash. It was weirdly efficient, like an Amazon Prime for degenerates. Once caught, the guards stood over a pile of taxidermy gone wrong and realized they'd just cracked open one of the strangest smuggling rings in prison history. Forget Trojan horse. This was Trojan rodent. The real moral here? If the wildlife in your prison yard starts looking extra bloated, maybe it's not overfeeding season. 9. The peanut butter escape plot. In 2017, an Alabama inmate pulled off what might be the dumbest, smartest jailbreak in history, armed only with peanut butter. He and his friends noticed that the door numbers in the control room were mislabeled, so they smeared peanut butter over the number 13, making it look like an exit instead of a cell. When a rookie guard looked through the cameras and saw inmates waiting at the door, he thought he was letting them back into their housing unit, and instead opened the main gate. 12 men casually walked out. The guard probably still wakes up in a cold sweat every time he smells Jif. The escapees were later caught, but not before the sheriff made history's best press statement. They might have escaped with peanut butter, but this ain't no smooth operation. Somewhere, Skippy's PR team cried tears of laughter. 10. The Kinder Egg Cartel. Leave it to humanity to turn children's candy into a drug mule. In an Argentinian prison, guards discovered a smuggling operation using Kinder Surprise eggs, the chocolate shells with toys inside. Only instead of tiny plastic astronauts, these contained cocaine, SIM cards, and micro USB drives. Inmates' families would hand them over during family day visits, claiming they were for their kids. The ruse was genius until one guard noticed an inmate accepting his 6th Kinder egg in an hour. No child in sight. When the truth came out, the operation was dubbed Kinder Cartel, and the local papers couldn't get enough of it. It's poetic in a way, a candy famous for surprises inside delivering the worst one possible. The prisoners lost their sweet privileges, and somewhere, an innocent kid is wondering why Santa stopped bringing him chocolate eggs that buzz. 11. The drone delivery debacle. In the age of technology, smugglers upgraded from pigeons to drones and immediately proved they were not qualified pilots. In Ohio, a drone carrying drugs, cell phones, and rolling papers crashed spectacularly into the prison yard, right during roll call. The device fell apart mid-air, showering the yard in contraband like it was a twisted version of the Macy's Day Parade. Inmates scrambled to grab whatever they could while guards tried to figure out if they were under attack from Amazon. It turns out the smugglers had overloaded the drone by nearly double its capacity, because of course they did. When the police traced it, they found the operators hiding in a nearby van with an Xbox controller and zero clue how aerodynamics work. The warden's summary was perfect. They tried to fly drugs into prison, but gravity won. The moral? Even in crime, check your weight limit before takeoff. 12. The potato chip. Can surprise inmates are resourceful, especially when the craving for nicotine outweighs the laws of physics. At a Louisiana prison, guards discovered that prisoners were smuggling cigarettes and rolling papers inside Pringle's cans. But here's the twist. The cans came sealed and factory perfect, complete with the original foil freshness seal. Turns out, a corrupt worker at the prison commissary had built a mini repackaging factory behind the kitchen, stuffing contraband into real snack containers, resealing them with a hair straightener, and delivering them as authorized treats. It worked flawlessly for months until one inmate got greedy and ordered 22 cans in a single week. Suspicious, guards opened one and found a Marlboro party inside. The smuggler later claimed he was just preserving the crispiness. Somewhere, the marketing team at Pringles missed a golden slogan: "Once you pop, the crime don't stop." 13. The piggy bank of peril. In an Arizona prison, an inmate's family mailed him what looked like an innocent ceramic piggy bank, the kind a kid uses to save coins. Only this: little piggy wasn't saving pennies. It was hiding meth, pills, and a few grams of marijuana under its snout. The package passed through screening easily because the X-ray just showed a solid ceramic shape. Everything went fine until one day the inmate accidentally dropped it. When it shattered, the entire cell block got a surprise more explosive than a fireworks show. Guards later reported uncontrolled laughter and a suspiciously chill mood in the unit. When questioned, the inmate said, "Guess the pig finally cashed out." It's the first time in history someone literally broke the bank and started a party instead of a savings account. If irony had a mascot, it'd be that pink ceramic mule rolling across the prison floor. 14. The toothpaste tunnel scheme. Prisoners have hidden contraband in some creative places, but this one might win for stealth and patience. At a Georgia correctional facility, inmates were caught smuggling narcotics and razor blades through hollowed-out toothpaste tubes. They'd carefully remove the paste, insert the contraband, then refill it using real toothpaste mixed with flour for texture. The kicker? They resealed the caps with superglue and returned them to the commissary shelves, selling minty fresh surprises to other inmates. It was so well executed that guards only discovered it because one officer noticed that the same inmate brushed his teeth 4 times a day during night shift. The scheme fell apart when one tube leaked during a shakedown, releasing a suspiciously chemical smell that didn't scream tartar control. When asked why toothpaste, the ringleader said, "Because hope should taste like peppermint." Honestly, that's poetic enough to be the slogan of every bad idea ever born in a jail cell. 15. The baby doll delivery. Some prisons allow inmates to receive care packages for family visits, which of course means someone will try to turn Barbie time into cartel time. At a Colombian women's prison, guards intercepted a baby doll sent as a gift from an inmate's sister. It looked adorable. Pink dress, smiling face, even came with a bottle and blanket. But inside that hollow plastic torso was a stash of cocaine and micro SD cards, sealed in latex and carefully molded under the doll's skin. The creepy part? It weighed exactly the same as a real doll. The inmate acted shocked, saying she'd thought it was for her niece's upcoming birthday. Guards were less convinced after finding that the doll's voice box had been replaced with a SIM card reader. One officer reportedly quipped, "This baby doesn't cry, it uploads." The press dubbed it Cocaine Barbie. And to this day, it's still considered one of the strangest smuggling attempts in South America. Forget Malibu Beach House. This Barbie's dream house was a maximum security cell. 16. The hot sauce handoff. Prison food is bad enough, but when an inmate insists on hot sauce with every meal, that's usually a red flag. In a Mississippi facility, guards noticed a steady flow of tiny hot sauce bottles arriving for one specific inmate. So many that his cell looked like a Buffalo Wild Wings franchise. Upon inspection, they discovered that each bottle's bottom had been resealed over a small plastic capsule filled with oxycodone. The supplier? His cousin, who ran a gas station and thought nobody would ever question spicy loyalty. The inmate had even started selling the bottles to others under the slogan, "Heat so good it'll numb you." The irony practically wrote itself. Once busted, the guards ordered new commissary rules banning outside condiments altogether, a policy they called Operation Burn Notice. Somewhere, a group of inmates still dreams about the golden days when every illegal transaction came with a side of Tabasco. 17. The frozen turkey incident. It's Thanksgiving, and nothing says family love like trying to send a turkey stuffed with crime. At an Illinois prison, officers stopped a package marked Holiday Blessings, containing a frozen turkey for an inmate's holiday dinner. Except this bird wasn't seasoned with herbs, it was filled with baggies of weed, LSD tabs, and a couple of phones packed neatly inside the cavity, wrapped in foil like leftovers. The courier even added stuffing on top to make it look authentic. Unfortunately, the frozen contraband made the turkey unusually heavy, and when the X-ray scanner showed batteries inside a bird, the jig was up. The inmate later claimed he had no idea how narcotics got into a turkey his aunt sent, though investigators noted his aunt had already been banned for smuggling twice before. The moral of the story? If your Thanksgiving turkey comes with cell reception and a full charge, maybe skip dinner. 18. The typewriter tech ring. When one prison banned smartphones, inmates decided to innovate with typewriters. A group of hackers in orange jumpsuits modified their approved mechanical typewriters with parts smuggled from old radios and cassette players, turning them into makeshift communication devices. It was low-tech genius. The altered machines could send coded messages through electric pulses using the prison's wiring system. Guards thought the clicking was just enthusiastic typing. It took months before they realized inmates were literally texting each other across cell blocks using Morse-like patterns. The discovery came after an officer noticed that one inmate kept writing letters at 3 a.m. with no paper. The operation collapsed when the warden described it as the world's dumbest Silicon Valley. The prisoners lost their typewriters, but their legacy remains. Proof that with enough boredom and spare parts, you can reinvent Wi-Fi with a ribbon spool. 19. The catapult crew. Before drones and pigeons, there was medieval engineering. In a Mexican border prison, guards once found a homemade catapult just outside the perimeter wall. It was built from scrap wood, rubber strips, and a wheel axle, used by accomplices to launch bundles of marijuana, phones, and cigarettes over the fence like a high-stakes carnival game. Inmates inside would wait for the delivery, often marked by a loud thunk or an unlucky head injury. The scheme worked flawlessly until one projectile hit a guard tower, showering the yard in broken contraband and bruised egos. When authorities dismantled the device, they called it Robin Hood's dumbest cousin. The builders fled, but their idea lived on, inspiring copycats, pun intended, across Latin America. Imagine the pitch. We can't get a drone? Fine. Let's just build one. That uses gravity. It's proof that when humans lose freedom, they gain way too much creativity. 20. The sausage link operation. You'd think after the turkey fiasco, food-based smuggling would die off. But no, human stupidity has a long shelf life. In a German prison, guards became suspicious after one inmate kept requesting sausages from a particular local butcher. When they finally cut one open, they found something extra meaty. Each sausage was stuffed with crushed-up pills, micro SIM cards, and rolled-up messages sealed in plastic. The smuggler used a sausage-making machine to insert the goods, then sealed the ends with professional precision. The inmates called it bratwurst broadband. Authorities estimated over 100 sausages had been trafficked this way before discovery. The scandal made national headlines, and one journalist described it as the worst crime ever. The butcher was arrested, the inmate lost his lunch privileges, and the rest of the prison population mourned the end of the only decent food they'd ever tasted. Turns out, you really can get high on processed meat, just not legally. 21. The Coffin courier. In Venezuela, a prison funeral turned into a drug delivery event, straight out of a dark comedy. A family arrived to pay their respects to a supposedly deceased inmate. Except when guards inspected the coffin, the body was made of neatly stacked cocaine bricks wrapped in a blanket, complete with fake limbs and a papier-mâché head. The funeral home director later confessed he'd been paid to host the world's weirdest delivery service. Even more absurd? The coffin had a functioning cell phone glued inside so the deceased could call ahead for pickup. The plan collapsed when a guard poked the body with his baton, and the head rolled off like a bowling ball. It's unclear which is worse, smuggling narcotics in a coffin or thinking prison guards wouldn't notice that the corpse smelled like glue and gasoline. Either way, it's the only funeral that ended with everyone going to jail instead of leaving it. 22. The teddy bear tech drop. Children's toys make perfect Trojan horses, and one family took that idea disturbingly, literally. At a Florida state prison, officers found that inmates were receiving stuffed animals from their kids through the mail, heartwarming at first glance, until X-rays revealed that each teddy bear was carrying a micro-drone battery, charging cable, or prepaid SIM card sewn inside. The ringleader, a dad who claimed he just wanted to stay in touch with family, he was, in the most illegal way possible. The bears were dismantled, revealing enough tech to power a small Radio Shack. When the story hit the press, one guard quipped, "Build-A-Bear just built a criminal enterprise." The inmates lost mail privileges for 6 months, and the prison now bans stuffed toys entirely. Somewhere, there's a kid wondering why Daddy's teddy bear had better Wi-Fi than his house. It's the fluffiest felony ever committed. 23. The organic banana shipment. Even the health-conscious get creative. In a California correctional facility, a new farm-to-table food program allowed inmates to receive fruit baskets from approved vendors. One bright soul decided to exploit that with bananas, stuffed not with potassium, but powdered fentanyl sealed under the peel. The trick worked until one banana split early, literally, spilling white powder all over the commissary floor. Chaos erupted as guards dove for hazmat masks, and the smugglers tried to claim it was protein powder for workouts. Forensic testing revealed over 100 doctored bananas had made it through, creating one of the strangest busts in prison food history. The warden reportedly sighed and said, "I told them we needed more fiber, not pharmaceuticals." Afterward, inmates were banned from receiving fresh fruit, because apparently even bananas can turn criminal under enough peer pressure. And that's humanity in a nutshell, or a sausage, or a Bible. Which prison delivery deserves the Darwin Award?